Yesterday we started that experimental chocolate challah bread, and it has had the overnight time to bulk ferment, or that's the part where the sourdough kind of takes its time to grow. So here's what we've just an ugly batch of heavy dough. It's cold since it was in the fridge, but we're gonna take it out, cut it into some pieces, and get it ready to braid. Okay, here we are. I've got a bench knife, which is a super helpful tool that cuts things really easily. It's like it's made to cut dough, especially this heavy dough like this. So I'm going to cut it into 6 pieces, which I'm going to do like scones. I'm going to cut my circle into 2 halves, and then I'm going to cut those into thirds. If you don't feel like you can eyeball thirds, you can always use a scale. I'm going to take each of those thirds and start working it into a long rope and kind of go with just what the dough wants to do. First, about, 8 inches or 10 inches long, and then give it a minute, and then I'll go back and lengthen it. This dough does seem to be sticky, so I'm using a little flour on the counter just to keep it from sticking to everything. Remember, it's an experiment, so we just didn't know how it was going to handle. And kind of go with it. Last one. So now I have 6. And they're about a foot long ropes. And I'm going to start back at the first one. And if it doesn't seem to work yet, I'll give it a few minutes and let it rest before I try to stretch it. Yeah, it's a little too springy yet, so if we leave this covered for about 10 minutes, we'll come back to it and then get a little more length before we start braiding. All right, a few minutes has passed. I actually had to set a timer because an impatient human that I am, I always think, oh, surely I've given this 10 or 15 minutes and it's been 2 or 3. So set a timer, and I pulled, sorry. Now I should be able to get a little more flexibility out of these. Oh yeah, they're much softer. A little bit more stretch, and when you give them a stretch, they don't bounce back, which is pretty helpful when it comes to braiding food. So I'm actually going to put all the ends together. And I've got 6 pieces. So I'm going to put 3 going this way, and 3 going this way. And then I have, it's a little harder to see on my counter with the dark bread. This way. I have the ends that I'm bringing all together, so I'll give them a little pinch. And this will pretty soon be apparent how we're going to do this. But the first thing that we do is we take the top 2 pieces and we cross them over the loaf. Okay? And then I have this middle piece, middle section, that is where I'm going to be working. I'm going to take the first piece that I crossed and bring it back down. Then the one that doesn't have one running up, I'll take the piece and move it across. Well, this one is not looking as pretty as the white one does, because I don't know, they're just not taking the flower. It's an experiment. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so now I brought this one down to the middle and bring this outer piece up here, up. There you go. And then this piece is going to come down. And now this outer piece is going to come up. Scoop these over. And this one is sticky, so I may have to dust it with flour even as I go. Working with it, it's, you know, a little bit grabby on my hands, and I'm just going to go with that if that's what it needs. But if you can't experiment and try new things, what's the good? Okay. So you can kind of fold it over or kind of twist it, or you can just let it fold. Like these ones lay flat more than ropey, so I'm kind of taking advantage of that way that that thread wants to move, rather than forcing it to do something different. And it's working out well. It's really starting to pick up nicely. We're getting down to the end. I'm liking the way it's looking. Got a baking marathon going on here today. Continued. So, having a good time. That was just a timer to get some bread out of the oven. And we're making it nicely down to the end of the loaf. And you kind of can wing it how you can as these last pieces tell you what they want. And it's pretty sticky, as I mentioned before, so it's coming together well. So there's the end product, and hopefully it'll look something like these. And my little girls made some monkey bread out of the sourdough cinnamon swirl loaf. I made them a little extra dough while I was making the bread, and we've got a couple loaves in here that need to come out too. So it's been a baking week, but we've got rowers rowing and holidays to celebrate. So we're baking it up. And believe it or not, it's not even all of it. Got those, got the new challah we made. we'll try that out. And then we've got over here a couple more loaves of the cinnamon swirl and a few loaves of traditional. So I'll be sure to post how the chocolate bread turns out when it comes out of the oven, but for now I need a couple hours to proof on the counter and get nice and puffy and jiggly before we bake it.